Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Isabata Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond this evening. An outbreak of African swine fever, ASF, has reportedly hit pig farms in parts of the country. We'll be live in the regions to tell you exactly what's happening as we speak. Also, Fisheries and Agriculture Ministry, together with the Fisheries Commission, suspends the licensing of 4 industrial trawl vessels effective today. We'll be telling you exactly why the ministry has taken this particular decision. Also, the Kumasi Adum Railways market traders demand compensation following an announced demolition of their structures. We have details of these, plus the latest as well in the northern region, as we're learning right now that the curfew in the Boko areas have also been renewed. Details of this, plus the latest from Parliament, as well as the Interior and Defence Committee ranking on Parliament is also asking for the resumption of processes to purchase offshore patrol vessels for Ghana Navy. That's according to the minority, urging amid pirate attacks. We have details of that, plus 2 injured, 6 houses burned in attack on herdsmen at Gomoa and Menfi. Details of these, plus the latest in sports as well, over the next 1 hour here on Hot Edition. Let's settle for the details now, coming through right now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. An outbreak of African swine fever has reportedly hit Damongo in the Savannah region, as well as other areas in the country. The outbreak, according to our correspondent, has significantly impacted on some pig farmers in the area. Officers of the veterinary services are working around the clock to manage the situation. Christopher Mwakon is our man in the Savannah region. He's going to be joining us live shortly to get an update on this situation right now. But still on matters with the agriculture and stakeholders in the agri sector in the northern region, they've expressed concerns over the incidents of low productivity recorded in the sector over the past 2 years due to climate change. The region recorded over 70% decline in food production due to climate change, which has resulted in increased food prices. And we'll stay a bit further on this with Christopher Mwako. But first, let's hear from some persons within the agri sector who have been complaining about the situation in the northern region.
And because of climate change, we cut a lot of trees here and there. Our water bodies are not working very well with precipitation and other things. So I think it's an area that we need to be concerned about, because it's about food security and incomes. Other partner projects like CRS over the years have supported our farmers a lot. But when the weather ceases to play its role, then everything goes back to almost zero. So we have to be concerned, especially because farmers lost almost 70% seeds currently. Maybe the government will have to come in and maybe import some seed whilst our researchers and other partners work on seed for the following year.
It is indeed a backbone and a lifeline to millions of Ghanaians. However, many smallholder farmers face enormous challenges such as erratic rainfall, land degradation, and limited market access to continue their work, and this hinders their ability to thrive. The Agile project, funded by the Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and implemented by CRS, is a direct response to these challenges. Strategically, we've designed this to empower our farmers and to help them thrive.
Well, these are the concerns of some of the stakeholders in the agricultural sector in the northern region. But let's go back to our earlier story, where an outbreak of African swine fever has reportedly hit Damongo in the Savannah region, as well as other parts of the country. We're monitoring that quite closely. Christopher Mwakon is our northern and Savannah regional correspondent, is joining us on the telephone right now. Chris, what more can you tell us about this outbreak of the ASF in Damongo?
Yes, so Alfred, what I can confirm is that veterinary officers in Damongo have actually confirmed the outbreak. As we speak, they are investigating it, and they have actually told me that the issue is under control. They are working to ensure that the outbreak does not extend to other communities within the Damongo enclave.
I see, but what's the extent of the infection as we speak, based on your own preliminary information you've received?
Yeah, so they told me that some pigs have actually contracted this, and they have actually visited the communities as well to ascertain for themselves. The numbers they cannot tell for now because it's not one community, and so they are still conducting their investigation. But right now what they are doing is to ensure that it does not extend to other communities. As we speak, more than 2 communities have been affected so far, so they are working to prevent it from escalating to other communities.
Now, is there any news as well from the Agricultural Extension Office and also the Poultry Division of the Agricultural Extension Office in the region? I'm asking this because what we are receiving from other parts of the country is that, for instance, in the Bono and Ahafo regions, there's been some intervention from that particular office. Any news from the area?
Yeah, so I spoke with the district veterinary officer, and he has told me that they are still working. As we speak, they are in a meeting. They were actually inviting me to come to the office for us to have that engagement. They are currently in a meeting. They will write their report and also submit it to the regional veterinary office so that they can now forward it to the Ministry of Agric in Accra for them to get any intervention that will come from the national level.
And we understand that the extent of the spread has gone beyond about 4 or 5 communities, correct?
Yes, correct. So, like I said earlier, he actually told me that they have more than 3 communities. He did not actually tell me the number of communities that they have visited so far, but he said they've gone to more than 3 communities. But the hardest hit community is Atributo, which is some few kilometers away from the Damongo community.
I see. How popular is the pork as a delicacy in the area?
Yeah, so Damongo is a cosmopolitan community. A lot of people in the community, especially from the upper west region, settlers in the Damongo area. And so when it comes to pork, a lot of people consume pork in the area. We have various pork joints in the Damongo community and other communities. And you also know that some tribes within the northern enclave use the pig when they have funerals and other celebrations. And so some people travel as far as we talk about Tamale and other communities go to Damongo to buy because pig farming in the area is a serious one that the farmers have taken it upon themselves. So people go there to buy and transport to other places to do their businesses and also consume.
Now, let's shift our focus to the northern region, where we still stay on the matters of agriculture. The stakeholders there, they've expressed concern over the incidence of low productivity recorded in the sector over the past 2 years, and they blame climate change for it. So why is that?
Yes, so Alfred, you know that for the past 2 years, the northern region has recorded a decline in food production, 70%, according to the regional MOFA director, and this is quite worrying. She attributed it to the climate change issues. You remember last year the dry spell that hit the region and other regions, the water bodies around the area where we have the white water passing through the Dalong area. Over here, the farming season is just once. It comes and it goes. So once the farming season comes and there is low productivity, it means that it is going to affect food security in the area throughout the year. And so there are growing concerns that the 1 year farming, like in a year you farm just one season, and so stakeholders are looking at getting avenues where they can do all year round agriculture, tapping into the water bodies around and using irrigation. One concern was that you remember the policy of one village, one dam, which communities were supposed to benefit from, and use that as a stepping stone to the agriculture sector, where irrigation will be a thing that farmers will consider, but that did not materialize as it's supposed to be. And so they are looking at using water bodies, existing water bodies, where farmers can be engaged for them to do all year agriculture, so that there can be enough food in the area. As we speak, prices of food commodities have actually gone high in the northern parts of the country because of the low production that was recorded over the past year.
I see, but so in all of this, tell us how the farmers in the area are preparing for the farming season ahead.
Yeah, so Alfred, so far, the northern parts of the country recorded some amounts of rainfall over the past 2 weeks, and so the farmers have started preparing their lands. Now, immediately after the land preparation, they are waiting for the rains to come again for them to plant. But Alfred, I must also say, because of the low productivity that was recorded in the previous year, access to farm inputs like seeds is going to be very serious. The MOFA director actually expressed concerns over that particular aspect, because availability of seed is something that is of concern to farmers here, and so they are hoping that something could be done so that they can get the seeds earlier before the rains will come for them to actually begin their planting.
Chris, I appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for the update. Christopher Marco is our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent. Give us an update on the concerns of the agricultural stakeholders in the Northern region. Not too happy about the massive decline in food production. We understand it was a record 70% decline in food production due to climate change, which has resulted in increased food prices in most parts of the Northern region. But away from that, let's go straight to the Ashanti region, because traders at the Edum Railways Market, whose structures have been demolished to create a pathway demanding compensation from government. They claim they were not informed about the exercise, but the Ashanti regional minister disagrees. Let's first hear what some of the traders have been telling us about this demand for compensation.
So I'm compensation. I'm the man in the year, Braha. I'm the man in the year, they say. Let's away. The Rubama Bon was a see so. I arrange and Yanum. Yanum was pumping for crackers. I saw my boy. He has say, home. Yan cousin, I am too good. Yes, sir, they are arranging a home. Yan no be a baby, sir. Man, I am a two reason. What the bread are not two. What you need now? Sisia, a higher way. Maybe to me a single parent. Yama water sherry. Any idea, I had it. Any other shower. It's so many and in here cry. Namuba be a Jumano crank. I'm on that daytime. What you say? Ahomati. And a Musia. What said that? What send you, ma? What any animal penny for no more? Yapapanomono, and then an animal. If you need compensation. Oma said, you know, it's better than your 20. I bet that the end is to come with your children machine. And Mama. I was to be with us, Mamaka. Then I know 2 4. Yes, slow, Papa, why I was it? Why, I'm okay. What can say you 2 4? What can say you? We're not a norm. We're not a normal baby woman. That's a woman, you're baby tonight. And I must say to you, yeah, what did you say? I am a dear baby. Yeah, your phone here. Your baby, your Marcos, your package, your part, and that's the new house. And the answer. And you can see, everybody, yeah, just for this. Yeah, what I want by the fire. Who we are, Baba? What I want by the fire. Who we are, Baba?
those are some of the traders wailing and certainly demanding the compensation because they say that they were not giving adequate information and prior notice ahead of the demolition of the structures to create a pathway for the construction of the railway, as was earlier announced by the government. In fact, the Ashanti Regional Minister thinks otherwise. But let's hear exactly what's happening on the ground, because as you heard from the traders, they are not happy and they're concerned about how they're going to lose their businesses that they use to take care of themselves and their children. And William Evans Inkum is our Northern Bureau Chief Ashanti Regional Correspondent, joining us right now. William, now you've been to this site. Certainly these traders are concerned about this demand for compensation. How has the reaction been, especially from the minister?
Well, so the minister, first of all, said it was not factually accurate that they were not given prior notice before the execution of the demolition. According to the minister, they were given 1 week prior notice, that is to move out, especially those areas that the minister believes they are actually, or they have actually encroached. They should move out before, they also conduct this particular exercise. But unfortunately, some of the traders appear to have been recalcitrant, and then they were just caught out of the web. So that is the current situation. But I can tell you, Alfred, this is one area. If you're talking about the Edum PZ blue lights, let me call it two separate worlds. So the one side, which was gutted by a fire on March 21, and then the other side, which is predominantly, occupied by people who, let me term it as settlers, because there are people who are living there with their families. Few people are engaged in trade activities and what have you, but majority of the people who are there, I'm talking about where it's being demolished. The majority of the people there are living there as settlers, and that is what is happening now. So right after the Edum market fire, PZ blue light market fire, the thinking was that maybe that place is likely to be the next, because of the fact that that place appears to be very clumsy. The reason why that demolition exercise is being conducted there, just to create a pathway. So in case of any eventuality, the firefighters or any of the emergency attendants will have access, will be able to access that particular area. And the reason why we are seeing that level of demolition. But I can tell you that they were giving prior notice. Some of us were aware. Even right after the fire service had been able to douse the Edum fire, we had a hint that that place is likely to be a major concentration as far as ensuring that proper things are done there is concerned.
But you had the traders as well who are saying they were not given prior notice. You state emphatically that indeed even the media, some of you were aware of the prior notice given to them. But to the extent that they're also asking that they be compensated. Has the minister said anything about this demand for compensation?
Well, so the minister has said if there is a need for anybody to be given some level of compensation, that will be done. Of course, he did not rule it out entirely, even though there are other compensation from the other side that those people, some of them, or most of them were occupying that land illegally. Some have been marked buffer zones, but yet they had encroached. And even among some of the traders, they tell me that they even told them some time ago that where they were occupying was illegal, and for that matter, they should move out. But they will not listen. Even at a point in time, they even informed the authority that there are people who are coming in and then they are also encroaching the buffer zones. But nothing was done until, this morning when the demolition exercise started. But guess what? The minister has said they will not be left out because they've also lost, their livelihoods and what have you. So when they are going to compensate, the Edum Blue Light PZ market fire victims, they will also be considered. That the minister has promised.
See, now I know that you have also kept an eye on this fire scene at the Dome area. What is the state of affairs now? Because the minister gave an update on the number of traders who were affected by this fire. What's that update and what's the way forward per the minister's own account earlier today?
So now we know that a total of 2,900 traders were affected. They've lost their wares. Some of them, their bankers after them because the duration for which they are supposed to pay their loan or credit facilities has elapsed, and so their bankers are coming after them. Alfred, I can tell you that I've been receiving calls from some of the traders. I quite remember the recent call I received was she asking whether I could help her get the fire report so he could present to her bankers so they will at least give her some breathing space in these trying times. The good news is that, according to the minister, the president has been briefed about the current development, and the president has directed that government, the RCC, engage the bankers and at least renegotiate their loan terms with them. The idea is for them to have some breathing space or kind of flexible payment terms, because the government is also promising these traders that they will also give them something to cushion them, especially those who have lost everything. I spoke to one woman who tells me she has lost everything because she had 2 warehouses aside the retail outlet that she was operating, and all of them got gutted. So she has lost everything. So in a case of such a woman, there's nothing to even go back to her bankers with. And the assurance is coming from government that those people will also get something to cushion them. Already we know that there has been some donation from individuals, from political actors. Of course, we know that right after the president had left Kumasi, when he visited the fire scene, 600,000 was also donated to the affected traders. Then we also had 200,000 from the former vice president and MPP flag bearer for 2024 election, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. Kennedy Japan has also donated 100,000. Okatachi has donated 100,000. And then just yesterday, a contractor also donated 500,000 to the traders. So money are coming in. And we also know that they've also gotten a bank account where all this money will be deposited. And then now the data has also been collected. So certainly get some level of cushioning. Then of course, what the president is also promising them, that figure hasn't been announced officially yet, so that one is also coming. So all these assurances are just to let the bankers know that indeed, there is hope. This is going to be the basis for which the government, we understand, is going to renegotiate with the bankers who are giving credit facilities to some of the affected traders to kind of give them breathing space or offer them some flexible payment terms so they'll be able to bounce back to business. So that is what we know as far as the traders front and then that of government response to their plight is concerned.
Perfect. As always, great job there. William Evans Sinkum, thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
As William Evans Sinkum is our Northern Bureau Chief in there. And let's hear from the Ashanti Regional Minister has been reacting to concerns these inhabitants were not informed or given prior notice about the said demolition exercise to pave way for the fire service for emergency response. Take a listen to the Minister.
When we say on the other side of here, Pizeton, not money came, any police, combined activity over creating vehicular access over there. I've seen a lot of distortions in the media. They are giving them 1 week notice. 1 week notice. It will be over Casabia and the Tomobiano. And no Korean. If you move here and you be 1 year through we not money to me. They register almost separately. So they are supported by my other side. We will give them a similar support. So they are only your machine, but it's very important. Say, your ma a honor a quantity with them. maybe be able to do the and then Yanoko, a crochet will be on my adrenaline. Or we are my dream, I catch them some more machine on me, no more or more when the moon, a quite beach time now, Obia in the Yama. So when you know, yes, I will clear and pursue the other what now reduce not up on the name Abunaka. 2 years them, there is mum, more mason sant. Said the last year, and now your mom will call inside her, a rumble moon, and yes, I'm my and is a Tinyabuama. Obia, or Pessu, you never feel, or now when I never feel.
As the Ashanti Regional Minister there. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in and beyond. An outbreak of African swine fever has reportedly hit Damango, the capital of the Savannah region, leading to the deaths of hundreds of pigs in the municipality. We understand the affected communities include Kantin, Atrubutu, Botoro, and Sori number 1, amongst others. To curb the spread of the disease, some farmers have resorted to slaughtering and burying sick pigs, as well as properly disposing of those that have already died. Despite pork being a popular delicacy both locally and internationally, the outbreak has significantly impacted pig farmers, many of whom are still recovering from a previous outbreak in 2023. Now, some affected farmers have been speaking to us earlier, as you heard Christopher Marco in the Savannah region, but we understand there is some update as well of a possible impact of an outbreak of this African swine fever in parts of the eastern region. Yvonne Ikwe is our eastern regional correspondent. She's joining us on the telephone right now. Yvonne, what do we know about this ASF in the eastern region?
Okay, so Alfred, the Ghana Health Service has confirmed reported cases of deaths among pigs and the Pearl West districts of the eastern region. This was about 2 weeks ago. They've taken samples of the pigs and it's still at the labs to confirm exactly what it is. But two possible direction is what is being looked here, whether it is an African swine fever or a swine flu. But most, or the one that the trend could be higher, would be the African swine fever, because 2023, this same particular incident occurred in that particular district where we spoke about it. It's an environmental issue. Unfortunately, we're seeing it again. So even as we await the laboratory results, it's highly possible that it's an African swine fever that has reoccurred in that particular district again.
I see, but you said that this place has a history of this outbreak. How have the farmers in the area been reacting to this news?
It's been a heartbreaking incident for them. When these cases happen in your farm, it means that no matter the number of pigs you have, they will all die because it runs fast in them and then attacks them to the spot. They're going to lose millions of cedis they've invested in this project on their farm. And so it's been a devastating period for them. They're hoping that quickly the Ghana Health Service and then the Ministry of Food and Agriculture collaborate to help them deal with it as quickly as possible. Because if it is not dealt with, it means that other farms close by would possibly be affected.
See, Yvonne, appreciate you for this update as always. Thank you so much. Yvonne Nikwe is our Eastern Regional Correspondent. You're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, education economist and researcher Peter Anti has criticized a senior high school headmistress for refusing to allow Muslim students to celebrate Eid al-Fitr with their parents. Speaking on 3FM's Midday News with Jody Brown, he stated that most senior high schools in Ghana permit students to observe religious festivities or go home when necessary. He argued that the headmistress's decision goes against common practice in schools across the country. His comment follows an incident at St. Rose's Senior High where the headmistress did not allow Muslim students to leave for Eid celebrations despite a directive from the education minister permitting them to do so. The issue has sparked a broader debate on religious freedoms in schools with calls for authorities to uphold the constitution and promote inclusivity. Here's Peter Enti earlier today.
And I think that the position by the headmistress or the headmaster is out of place. We all know that during these festivities, students are allowed to undertake certain activities or are allowed to go home. So I think that what the position that they took is not in line with the normal practices in most of our senior high schools. And that is why I would want to say that this is not the position of most senior high schools in the country. And as far as I'm concerned, in most senior high schools, students are allowed to practice their faith and they are allowed to do what, their religious affiliation expects them to do. We might experience this once or twice in certain schools, but that is not the reflection of the education system in Ghana, and I think this point has to be made forcefully.
And moving forward, what's your recommendation?
I think that school leaders should avert their minds to the position of the Constitution, and more importantly, to directives that have been given to them by the Ministry of Education. I know that some schools have their unique practices and other things, but they should look at this from the perspective of the generality of the people that we are, and ensure that they do not allow their personal beliefs and practices to supersede the Constitution of Ghana that allows for freedom of association in terms of religious practice and other things.
That's Peter Enti earlier today. I also spoke to the Eastern Regional President of the Muslim Students Union, and they're calling on the Education Minister to step in as soon as possible. Here is Haruna Idris speaking earlier to me.
Eastern Region to be precise, did not allow the Muslim students to go for the celebration, and her reason is that she's not aware of the narrative that the ministry gave, and that the school is not an Islamic school. So this really hits the regional Jamsa very much, because it is disenfranchising our right, our Muslim student right to perform their religious duties.
But how did you get this information that it was the headmistress of the school that instructed that these Muslim students in the school should not be allowed to go home to celebrate the Eid with their parents?
And through the Jamsa patron in the school, every school we have a Muslim teacher that chairs the affairs of Jamsa in the school. So when we contacted the Jamsa patron, that is the reason they gave us.
I see, but Shaib, is this the first time this is happening, from what you do know, in the St. Rose's Senior High, based on information that you have? Is this the first time this year that the Muslim students in the school are being prevented from going home?
I think this is something that always happens, but because we have been silent on these issues, but this time around we are taking it on because the minister himself issued a directive to all the institutional heads to at least allow the Muslim students go home for the 2 days holidays and celebrate the Salah. That is the Eid al-Fitr.
I see. So what are you asking of the Education Minister, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, now?
We expect the minister to hold the headmistress accountable, and all those, and this one should serve as a deterrent to other headmasters and mistresses who don't allow the Muslim students to exercise their religious responsibilities. The issue is that when you go to most of these senior high schools, the Muslim students, some of them, they don't allow them to offer their prayers, yet they are being forced to go to church every Sunday. And going to church has become a tradition. compulsory for them, but for them performing their 5 daily prayers is a taboo in those schools, which we think it doesn't help. It's a way of undermining our responsibility or our religious rights.
All right. So I thank you very much for. So that's Shaibu Idris Mohammed talking to us earlier on this particular development in the St. Rose's Senior High related to Muslim students not being allowed to go home to celebrate the Eid with their families. Now, this is one that has generated some conversation, which we'll keep an eye on and how it's evolving. But let's still stay on the matters of the Eid, because the police say it's still investigating and trailing the perpetrators of the violent clash that ensued between two factions at the street carnival to mark the Eid Fitr celebrations or festival in the central region. One person who was in critical condition and receiving treatment at the Kaswa Polyclinic is reported to be stable as we speak. One person was, however, arrested in connection with the violence and currently being detained at the CBD police station. Our man on the beat, Akwesi Ado, is joining me live from the area right now. Akwesi, what's the latest to this from the Ghana Police Service?
Okay, so there hasn't been any further arrest, but the police say they are still on the matter and trailing the other suspects to ensure that they are also apprehended and be subjected to further investigations. But the suspect who was arrested yesterday has been moved from the CBD police station to the divisional police station, also here in Kaswa, for further interrogation. And also the victim, who was in a very critical state yesterday, from what we've picked up from the Kaswa Polyclinic, he is in a stable condition, but still undergoing treatment at that particular facility. The other two victims one has also been treated and then discharged, and the other also still undergoing treatment. Family members of the victim, Yusuf Osman, are still demanding for police to go deeper into this matter because for them, they are insisting that their relative wasn't part of the architect of that particular violence, and that he was only, attacked only because in an earlier violent incident between the two groups, he interceded and then tried to calm down tempers.
See, but we understand these three persons who sustained some injuries. Some of them have been treated and discharged, and another is also in stable condition. You are at the health facility where these persons are being treated. What's the current state of affairs?
So the state of affairs is that now matters are toning down, and then just as I mentioned earlier on, one of the injured persons, a female, had a cut around her fingers. So she was treated and then discharged yesterday. Then there is this other victim who also had a severe cut at around his elbow. So he is still undergoing treatment because he lost quite an excess amount of blood. And then the third victim, who was in a critical condition, is also still under treatment. But what we've been told is that he was referred to another facility to run X-ray scans because his head was struck with a hammer to determine whether he had any bone fracture or skull fracture. And then, so that is it. So this is the state of affairs at the particular hospital, except to say that aside from the main incident, family members who took their victims to the Kaswa Polyclinic are also not happy with the treatment procedure because at a point they realized that some basic drugs that were needed to treat the patient were not available at the facility's pharmacy, so they had to go outside to look for those basic medications. And also they do not understand why a facility which is located in the CBD area, which is a very important area, do not have an X-ray machine at the facility, and so they are calling for an improvement in that particular facility.
See, Akwesi, hold on a bit for me, because you spoke to one of the victims' relative who also gave some detail of the background of the violence that led to these 3 persons sustaining injuries.
Okay, celebration. Intimate power against all the folk, second, and Mahama, or the because so I'm pro via over pro. Intimate Mamunia, yes, I went to me, yes, I went with Mamunia. It's according to source. It's like nipa na all the case first case no by obi no bono and okopata and this case no by into omunya sa nipa ko no bono no otumi dwane ya into hono pointing so no so wa say ono onya wempo ono beto fa no so omuno from sa rich family movement, rich life movement for no omuno sa so by no towards the volunteer by some say. And a situation I in and that's no and situation ketwa nti yes we rekwa asem na da kwa han for because I am for some stop we na e be do no enye nyankasa me a victim 2 weeks before ntoka bi say me kopata me anyway am the bobon nti based on my experience on stop on say the do dey obi am the mo fi ho you have just stop obi ajimini to when I did see when Patama report Yama police. Yeah, report on police. Okay. Report on police. Police was it? And say come almost send the situation to be answer and who turn or to Mikasa, then they will know what to do because they want to take everything from Olankasa and now being authentic in the report. They might the right idea is here. Group na attack you you almost see rich life movement what they mean to me I just Zongo Kaswa so anyway so we walanto just street pen a woman and omuni abako omuni the same family okay manya so much obi nti enyanko police station ko hwe nti efi ha report na ko check ya one watching. They say I'm going to know for a history because come see me when you say history. Yeah, that's one. Yes, me Mohammed. Mohammed Usman.
So that's Mohammed Osman, who is a relative to one of the injured persons in this particular clash of 2 factions in the central region. Now, before I let you go, Akwesi, now he made the point that this is a long-standing feud that has been going on between these 2 factions. They only put it on ice because of the fasting. Now that this fasting is over, and is the police aware of this, the history that he puts out, and what measures have been put in place to ensure that there's no reprisal attack in the coming days?
Okay, so we expect the police to know that some of these rival groups do exist in the Zongo communities in Kaswa here. But for that particular feud which existed between the 2 factions, we may not expect them to be in the known because when the earlier incident occurred, it was not reported to the police. The matter was rather handled by leadership in these 2 communities.
Kwesi, appreciate you for this. That's Kwesi Ado is our Central Regional correspondent giving an update on this clash in the Central Region. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Get to some more stories as the minority in Parliament have expressed worry about what it says is the sudden rise in drug trafficking and money laundering in the country barely 3 months after the NDC came into office. Ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament, Reverend Intim Fojo, addressing the media in Accra, called for swift and transparent investigations by the National Security into these cases.
And cash. Ladies and gentlemen, on another security matter related to our airspace, the Minority Caucus calls on national security to, as a matter of urgency, make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash transported into the country by 2 suspicious flights, namely Air Med flights N823AM, and Kavok Air private jets Antonov An-12B, which landed on the tarmac of Kotoka International Airport in March 2025 from Gran Canaria, an island of Spain, and departed to the same Gran Canaria days after their arrival. Reliable intelligence intercepted by the Minority Caucus indicates that on March 20th, 2025, Air Med flight N823AM, which is an air ambulance, and I must stress, it's an air ambulance designed specifically to carry patients, landed at Kotoka International Airport in Accra, Ghana, and remained in the country for 5 days before departing 1 a.m. on March 25th, 2025, back to Gran Canaria. Our intelligence further persists that no patient was transported by the said Air Med flights, neither to nor from Accra. There is no evidence of medical referral or patients accompanying or on board the flights on either legs of the flight. We are reliably informed that contrary to the expectation that the Air Med flight would carry patients, the purpose for which it was designed and operates, it rather on those occasions carried suspicious cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash in various United States dollars denominations.
As a minority in Parliament, the Table maintain NDC constituency executives have expressed deep disappointment in the national executives for their failure to nominate a municipal chief executive for the Table maintain municipality. According to them, the involvement of the traditional chiefs in the selection process is inappropriate and does not align with their expectations. They are therefore calling on President Mahama to urgently nominate a candidate for the MCE position.
Free national Atebebo Amante. And young and a son of man Eshas here. Free 2016 and a son of man Eshas here, Ewa Atebebo Amante. Still, a Busua Air Tuasua, a Quania himself. 2016 by a mistaken, your very correction. But still, Sadio Mano and the Busua Air Tuasua. Daddy and Sana and the Koyano. And then you have to listen by Atebebo Amante. Yahoo BAD and now you can say Yenim Sekojo and Aqua and Muhammad and Akarim and Eddie.
That's what's happening in the Tebwa area. We'll keep an eye on this and also be updating you in our subsequent bulletins here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, the Cybersecurity Authority has raised alarm over a significant rise in online fraud, with financial losses surging to 4.4 million cedis between January and March 2025. This marks a sharp increase from the 2.4 million cedis recorded during the same period in 2024. According to the Cybersecurity Authority, 350 cases of cyber fraud have been reported so far this year as scammers exploit digital platforms to target unsuspecting victims. With the ongoing Eid celebrations and the upcoming Easter festivities, the Cybersecurity Authority has cautioned the public to remain vigilant against cyber criminals who take advantage of heightened commercial activity during such periods. They say also that they should verify online retailers using reputable e-commerce platforms and check reviews before making purchases. They also urge the public to only pay after inspecting and receiving the item, ensure mobile money transactions are made to official business accounts, and also beware of too good to be true deals. Unsolicited messages promising massive discounts could be scams. Protect personal information. Do not share Ghana card details, bank account numbers, or credit card information with unknown sources. The Cybersecurity Authority has also urged the public to report suspected cyber fraud incidents via its hotline. That's +292, and the WhatsApp number 050-160-3111. That is 050-160-3111. 03111. And this is a statement that's coming through from the Cybersecurity Authority on the increase in online fraud. Today is April 1, widely recognized as April Fool's Day, a day dedicated to pranks, hoaxes, and good-natured mischief. But have you ever wondered where this long-standing tradition comes from? LCADO tells us the report in the following.
Historians trace April Fool's Day back to medieval France, where New Year's Day was celebrated on March 25, with festivities ending on April 1. But in 1564, when France officially adopted the Gregorian calendar, New Year's Day moved to January 1. Those who failed to keep up with the change and continued celebrating on April 1 were mocked and labeled as April Fools. Some experts believe the tradition is also linked to the medieval Feast of Fools, where a Lord of Misrule was elected to parody religious customs. While the origin of April Fool's Day remained debated, one thing is certain: the spirit of fun and humor it brings is celebrated across cultures and generations. Some Ghanaians recount their most memorable pranks.
So this was way back SHS. So we were all asleep. I think 12 a.m. Somebody said there are criminals in the school. So we all got up. It was an all-boys school. So you could imagine people took all sort of tools and then came to the park just to see nothing.
My friend of mine told me he's giving me a check to go and give to some bossy. And after in a bank, and after they cash out, I would receive my share. It was a blank check. Nothing was on it. And I stayed at the bank after he sending me, thinking I'll get a piece of the money. I was there like 3 hours and I called him and he told me, I should open it. I will see the money inside. When I opened it, it was blank. That was what they did to me.
April Fool's Day does not always turn out to be a fun activity. In 2013, Google's April Fool's prank, Google Knows, claimed users could search for unexperienced smells through their device, leading some frustratedly sniffing through their phones and flood tech support with complaints. While it was meant as a light-hearted joke, it wasted people's time and caused confusion, proving that even harmless pranks can backfire. In Ghana, the Ghana Journalists Association and some members of the general public condemned the action of its radio station when it staged an April Fool's Day prank. Even though the station sought to create fun, its action was described as an expensive joke with no entertainment value that could threaten national security. Even more, there are reports that pranks have ended fatally for individuals with cardiac problems. So whether you have fallen for a prank or pulled off a clever hoax today, just remember, although it can be fun, it has consequences.
As LCADO's report read to you. Well, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com and say thank you so much for staying with us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Before we go, a former board member of the DVLA and CEO of Top Tech Transport and Logistics, Cecil Gabra, has supported calls by current acting CEO of the DVLA for the regularization of the Guru Boys to streamline the activities and prevent fraudulent practices. The Chief Executive Officer of the Driver's Vehicle Licensing Authority, Julius Nikwe Kote, has sparked controversy when he recently advocated for the regularization of Guru Boys' activities. Now, he said the move is a step to control their activities instead of trying to get rid of them. In an interview with Hot Issues host Kemini Amano, he stated that it would be of benefit to the authority. Let's first take a listen to the CEO of the DVLA speaking.
What I've been telling everyone, we fought these guys under Chairman Rollins. We fought them under His Excellency John Ejekun Kufuor. We fought them under His Excellency Prof. Evans Atamils. We fought them under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Donald Adedankwa Akufo-Addo. And now, are we still go to fight them? When I was doing my service in the year 2012, Mr. Mate, former regional manager at the 37 office, you will just go and bring police, arrest them. The next day, you will see them around. we'll go and bring police, Tama, arrest all of them. The next day you see them around. The NPP implemented something we call the Ultra Center. And I asked the directors, what is the difference between the Ultra Center and a Guru Boy? We just use big English to discriminate between the rich and the poor. And that is what they did. Now, the Ultra Center of DVLA are supposed to provide service for DVLA and put extra charges on it. So you have your own office, you come to the DVLA, you have your own office structure, you come to the DVLA, you apply, I come and assess it, I let you run. Then you put extra 100 cedis charge on it. That extra 100 cedis charge, you give DVLA 20 cedis and then you take 80 cedis. Is that not the same thing that the Go Boy is doing? So I want to take a different approach to handle this issue. Fighting them always is not going to be is not going to bring us solution. So what about if we register them and regulate their activities?
That's the DVLA acting CEO. Well, the former board member believes bringing them under an official framework will help control illegal operations and improve service delivery. Take a listen.
What I can say now is that there's always this saying that if you cannot beat me or you cannot beat them, you join them, okay? So many years when I was on the board of DVLA, that was my suggestion. Now, look here, let's put these guys together. For now, I'll say, yes, I agree with them, but to an extent. Let's bring them together, okay? And then form an association so that they cannot go above board to do certain things, which means regulation, as he said.
Ask you, when you say you agree to an extent, what do you mean by that?
What I mean is that it's time for us to bring those people together, okay? Why I'm saying so is that they've been operating, and if you like or you don't like, you will go there. So what I mean is that they are already in operation, okay? They have everything there. And then one will have to find out whether they are fake documents, they are fake things that they do there or not. Obviously, it's 50-50. Some of them can give you the right document by walking into DVLA, and then others can also give you fake documents. Right, so if you bring them together, I think what the chief executive is saying is right. I mean, we have to try and do it because several years ago, I was of the view that, look, let's bring them together and see what they can do. I mean, it's going to be a trial basis. Right. Now, for instance, I can sit in my office and then call somebody, maybe call a dispatch rider, say, look, go and renew my license for me. Right. He goes and comes back with a sticker. Right. Now, but the law says that you have to go through an eye test and so on and so forth before. So that is skipped, and that is paid through, I'm sure, the Goro boys in connection with some DVLA officials. Well, I think this is just one example. There are other examples like renewal of your car papers, okay, where your roadworthy is expired. Yeah, you call same guys or they go to the Goro boys and then they will get them for you. Right, so it's much better if they come together and then what we can do is to have an association.
Do I get the sense that you do not think that even when we regularize the activities of these young men we call Goro boys, it shouldn't cover every service of the DVLA?
Precisely, that is what I'm saying, that it can't cover 100% of activities of DVLA. It can cover to some extent, and I was giving you an example, right? Change of ownership, which is very complicated, Ghana card and so on, right? When you bring them together, I'm sure that they will team up with the appropriate officials of DVLA. So it may come up to say that, look, this Goro boys will be a step towards assisting DVLA. But other question is that why can't people also walk into DVLA to do whatever they need to do? It's also a waste of time sometimes. So if the Goro boy will be given a tag or will be registered and will be monitored on all activities, I think it will be a step towards the right direction.
Well, that brings us to the end of Hot Edition this morning on 3news.com. Join me at 10 p.m. on TV3 for Ghana Tonight. On behalf of the rest of the team, I want to say thank you so much for staying with us. Enjoy the rest of the holiday. The drive continues.